Heidi-ho, today I'm going to be tasting Thomas S. More bourbon. Thomas S. More is an imprint of 1792, if imprint is the right word, to designate their bourbons that have been finished in wine barrels. It's called Thomas S. More because he built the distillery that 1792 operates out of, and in addition to making great bourbon, he also had a reputation as an innovator, so by putting his name on the bottle, it's kind of a loose connection to that legacy. The three bourbons I'll be tasting today were finished in Cabernet barrels, port barrels, and Chardonnay barrels. Thankfully, I did not have to buy these bottles at retail, instead I'll be tasting them from these samples. How did I get these samples? Let's just say I know some very important people. That's not true. All three of these expressions start out as 1792's high rye bourbon, and they're all 7 to 8 years old. What makes these expressions special is that they go through what's called an extended finish as opposed to a flash finish. During a normal flash finish, the bourbon sits inside the wine barrel for 3 to maybe 6 months, during which time it'll just absorb liquid that's already inside the barrel. In an extended finish, the bourbon sits in the barrel for an extra 3 to 5 years, during which time it takes on secondary characteristics of that barrel. It's that extended length of time that the bourbon and the barrel stay in contact that makes its juice so special. What you end up with is a very different product, and one that is, on average, 10 to 12 years old. It's a great value, if you can find it. It's worth noting that when the current master distiller took over about 4 years ago, this project was well underway. The bottles that we have on shelves now represent the best of what was handpicked by him. First finish, Cabernet Sauvignon. This is as good a time as any to point out that 1792 has a rather whimsical approach to bringing their product down to proof. For example, this bottle is 47.65%, which brings the proof to 95.3. The proof on this bourbon is 95.3 because Thomas More was born in 1853. At least, that's what I was told. Oh, it smells nice. Really big bourbon character on the nose. Thomas S. More Cab Finish. Cheers. Wine comes right at you. Now, I'm not enough of a wine drinker to say with certainty that I would have known that this was finished in a Cabernet barrel without knowing beforehand, but the wine notes are there. Make no mistake, this is a very robust whiskey. It's a bourbon top to bottom. Wood, vanilla, really nice burn. But yeah, the wine notes are unmistakable. Part of me is saying this would make a really good Manhattan, but it kind of tastes like a Manhattan already. My instinct would just be to drink this neat, honestly. Next up is the port finish. The proof on this one is 98.9 because Thomas More bought his first distillery in 1889. For you fortified wine nerds, this is finished in ruby port barrels. You definitely get port on the nose. This smells a lot less like a straightforward bourbon than the last one. Cheers. Oh yeah, this tastes great. The easiest thing I can compare it to is Basil Hayden Dark Rye. If memory serves, that was just a blend of Basil Hayden with a little bit of port. I really like that bottle, but the first time I had it, I do remember thinking that I could probably approximate the flavor on my own. With all due respect to Basil Hayden, I know it's not that simple, but this is different. This is finished in port casks, and it tastes like it. The port notes are a lot more subtle than they are in the dark rye. I said I wouldn't mix the last one. I would old-fashioned the hell out of this. Yeah, this is great. This is something to give to your non-whiskey drinking friends to try and bring them into the fold. Last up, the Chardonnay Finish. I like Chardonnay as much as the next guy. The idea of drinking a bourbon that's finished in Chardonnay barrels is frankly disgusting, but I'll try it. Oh, and the proof on this one is 97.9 because 1879 was the first year he got a medal of some kind. Doesn't really smell like anything. I mean, it smells like bourbon, but it doesn't smell like wine. There's a little bit of a sour milk note. Oh my gosh. Holy smokes. This does not taste the way I thought it would. That very robust backbone, those bourbon notes are there, but the buttery characteristic of a lot of Chardonnays is almost mellowing some of those harsher notes. The previous two bottles tasted like the bourbon and the barrel it was finished in were kind of working together to make complementary flavors. With this, it feels like the Chardonnay and the bourbon are kind of working against each other, but the result is terrific. This is not what I thought it would be, and it's amazing. And yeah, those buttery chard notes just kind of hang in the back of your mouth. Very long, very rewarding finish. And this would probably go great in a cocktail, but I wouldn't know where to start. I also wouldn't want to pour too much of the bottle into cocktails because it's so great on its own. If I had the budget, I would definitely get all three of these. If I could get two, I would probably get the port and the chard, and if I could only get one, I would easily get the chard. Yeah,
Damn, this is good.
Another fun fact of these bottles is that this particular finishing process produces less angel share. People who drink a lot of whiskey are likely already familiar with this term, but for the uninitiated, angel share is the amount of whiskey that's evaporated into the air by virtue of it being absorbed into the wood. The longer it sits in the barrel, the more angel share you get. Because the barrels used in the extended finish are already wet, you get less angel share. I'm a nerd, I care about this stuff. Either you do or you don't. Lastly, I mentioned earlier that this is a project that the master distiller walked into midway. Expect future bottlings to be a lot more curated. Particular varietals, maybe different barrels, I don't know. If you liked it, consider subscribing if you haven't already. If there's something you think I should try, let me know in the comments. Take care, and if you can find these bottles, buy them and drink them.
Turn camera. 102, take one.
Baby.